call us to order, you just state the date, the time, and the meeting that you're calling to order.
At March 30th, 2021, 10 a.m. exactly, I call this meeting to order.
All right, thank you very much, Kristen. And like I said, so we did open the citizen communication up during, since it's a virtual one, we put the link out when we posted the board meeting and nobody signed in, and I don't see anybody extra on here. You can open citizen communication, and then seeing nobody, you can just go ahead and close it.
Okay,
Kristen.
I would like to open citizen communication. If there's nobody there available, then we'll close it.
Anybody? All right, so you can just officially close it and then move on to item number 3.
Okay, I'd like to officially close the citizen communication portion of the agenda and move on to the consideration and approval of CVB board meeting minutes for February 4th, 2021.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Can I second?
Yeah.
Okay, I second.
And then you can call the vote.
Okay, vote to approve the meeting minutes.
Please raise your hand.
Please, yeah.
1, 2, 3, and 4 in favor. There you go. So the motion is passed.
Motion is passed to approve the minutes from the February 4th meeting.
Yes, very good. No, I understand. We're learning, but we just really just follow what the agenda says, since we really can only discuss the items that are placed on the agenda. The next one would be agenda item number 5. So if you want to open.
Okay.
Number 4.
Item number 4 would be to the discussion on the strategic plan presented in the last meeting. I'd like to open that, please.
I did want to, so I did send out a copy of the strategic plan to everybody last time. I think that we should kind of go like maybe page by page, and then we can just kind of just go from the top. And if you have any comments or questions, we can go from there. Do we agree?
Yes.
All right. So let me just open it up. Sorry, I have a lot of tabs open here. And I'll send one to you, Edgar.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, here it is. I'm going to forward it to Edgar. All right. Oh.
Probably the wrong one.
It is. Okay. So the strategic plan, going from this is also just an outline. I would like to, make it fun, add pictures, add different fonts and everything like that. But I really just wanted to get the actual information down first before we started making it look really exciting. And that way we could post it on our website and put it on our social media pages. Just a letter from me, I think. I don't know, did y'all have any questions on that since we're going from the top? Did y'all have any information or input on that?
No.
All right, so on page number 3, we have the mission and vision statements of the CVB currently. They have kind of been, what I posted right now was something that was already presented here before I had even joined the CVB, with a couple of updates that I had included myself. So I'm just going to read it to you. So the Harlingen Convention and Visitors Bureau's goal is to ensure that you have a pleasurable stay. Our goal is to bring visitors to stay in Harlingen through special events and attractions to our city. We are your guide to the best treasures in Harlingen. So I suggested, so the CVB or Visit Harlingen is to serve the broader and economic interests of Harlingen, Texas by making the destination and showcasing its attributes for continual benefits and travel and tourism industry. Of course, the floor is open to any other suggestions and comments on those.
I think that's much better, Cassandra.
Thank you. Heriberto, Michelle.
That's good.
That
Kristen?
sounds good. Mhm.
Okay, so we're in agreement with the new mission, and of course, I will update our everything to go along with that. So right now, our current vision was kind of like in bullet points. That's just how they had listed it, like I said in the past. So again, like our format is changing to kind of reflect new trends in CBB. So currently, it was enhance Harlingen's brand awareness as a preferred year-round destination, increase local tourism to boost hotel occupancy, encourage business and government investment in tourism, and I suggested to continue to build Harlingen's reputation as a center of the Rio Grande Valley, create partnerships with city attractions, and serve as a credible source of Harlingen's resources. Are you all in agreement with the updates?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank
Yes,
you very
I
much. So the vision and mission statements have been kind of set by us. Moving on to page number 4, the core values to be consistent and fair in business relations, initiate and implement cooperative efforts, promote and encourage collaboration, practice and execute initiative and innovation, work with integrity and open record / open meetings environment. I do think that the CVB is kind of like the face of Harlingen, and we need to just be collaborative and cooperative with everybody in the city. They don't necessarily have to be like chamber members or anything like that. So we really want to include the city as a whole, whether their business is small, local, chain, anything like that. Hotel, all of the businesses we really, and attractions, we really want to incorporate everybody, because I think the more resources that we give the public and the tourists, the more informed they'll be about Harlingen, they'll want to come visit us.
Agree.
Thank you. Purposes and services. This is kind of a breakdown of exactly what we would provide here at Visit Harlingen. I do know, people get confused a lot just because we're in the chamber and because like we're city members, but we're not in City Hall. So it gets kind of confusing to what exactly our role is in the city. And we are a city department, so we do follow exactly all the rules that we need to. But we do collect hotel motel tax, so we don't fall under just sales tax dollars spending. So we do have very strict rules for the hotel motel tax, as you all know. And we're in the Chamber of Commerce, but we're just kind of like little tenants here, right? So it's very important for us to dictate exactly what we do. So people maybe from the community or people that want, are like, why aren't you doing this? Our hotel motel tax dollars dictate we can only use it for certain money, our money's in certain ways, etc. So I can just read these really quick, or just like we've been doing. So provide leadership in tourism industry in Harlingen, drive awareness to Harlingen as a destination, promote hospitality partners in Harlingen. So all of them, including hotels, entertainment venues, restaurants, outdoor offerings, museums, retail centers, transportation providers, and other hospitality businesses who support visitors. To drive economic impact by actively reaching corporate and professional meeting planners to bring more meetings and events to Harlingen. The organization will drive economic impact to Harlingen. This is done through trade show participations, strategic partnerships, familiarization trips for meeting planners, and travel and outdoor media like influencers, and traditional sales and marketing methods. So we really are trying to expand what we do to bring more people to Harlingen. Supporting key signature events. Of course, we do have a couple of signature events. That's something I kind of wanted to touch on later on in the meeting. This is imperative for us, especially for your hotel guests, that they have something to look forward to on Friday or Saturday night. That, hey, you don't need to just stay during the week. You can expand your trip to the weekend, and thus they're creating more hotel stays. So that's pretty much what we want to do. So provide visitor information. Again, we are in the chamber, so we do have a lot of information in the chamber, but I'm trying to update our actual information that we provide. So before, the executive secretary used to sit in the back office, well, not the back office, but an office in the chamber. I have now moved her to the front to be more of like a welcome greeter, and also just to be more, to show ourselves. This is what we have to offer. I don't want them to just kind of point to the brochure and say, oh, look, there's a brochure, go, have a good time. I want the front desk person to really be in the know of everything that's happening in Harlingen and around the valley. So if somebody stops in, we can help them. And even if they stop in for any other issue they have in Harlingen, we want to help everybody. We want to make sure, we are just kind of turning a positive influence on anybody who steps in the office. In the future, I would like to add maybe some like t-shirts and koozies and kind of promotional items to the front desk as well, to that front desk area. A lot of people ask like, oh, you don't have a t-shirt, or and we don't, because we don't have the ability to sell it. It would be something that we would have to bring to the commissioners to add into our bylaws to be able to include a little kind of like store, Harlingen store. But that's something that we can work on towards the future, but it is something I want you guys to kind of start thinking about now. We do work with regional partners here. We are part of the regional tourism efforts, and we always are. I don't know if you all guys have heard of Explore RGV. So we work with them a lot, and we really promote whatever they're pushing, and that is a regional tourism group that all the cities in the Rio Grande Valley pay a yearly subscription to, and they really push all of our attractions throughout the Rio Grande Valley. So they're trying to attract visitors to stay and really enjoy the region, not just one city in particular. So we want to develop and support training initiatives. This is something that is really important, I think, for all of not just city employees, but hospitality employees as well. So we will be working here in our department to maybe create like a little booklet for hospitality employees and city employees to kind of know what's going on. I would like for all of, the people that especially work for the city, even if they ask somebody who works in the sanitation department, where can I go? Which I don't know if it happens that often, but it could happen. They would know somewhere to go, or they would know who to direct them to, instead of just saying, I don't know. And the person just kind of thinks, okay, well, I guess nobody's going to help me. So just try to make everybody within the city and within the hospitality industry little ambassadors for us. I think that would really be great. And yeah, so that's part of our purpose and services. So we did a little SWOT analysis. This is also from in the past. I kind of, just compiled information that from other studies that had been done on the CVB. So, I forgot to say on page number 4, are we in agreement with the purposes and services, or do we want to add anything?
No, I like it.
I like it.
Cassandra, I had a question about one of the items that you talked about. As far as the selling of merchandise, I know that it needs to be approved from someone else, but is it an option to have the type of merchandise maybe at participating hotels to be sold from that location, funded by the CVB, or is that also not allowed?
I'm not sure. I need to ask my assistant city manager for that, and it might have to be also added into the bylaws. So if that's something that you wanted us to, to discuss in further detail next time, we could put it on the agenda. We can talk to the assistant city manager, and then we can see how we would do the extension of Harlingen items.
Okay, just to kind of think about, having more availability, especially when the guests are already from out of town at our hotels. That's the main reason.
Do you all get a lot of questions about that too?
We do from time to time. Obviously they want to, take something back home with them, either a keychain or a mug or something, so.
Yeah, we don't have anything. Yeah.
All right.
So I agree. I've heard that from a couple of hotels, and I do want to kind of show off, some promotional items, and putting them in the hotels would be a great way to do that. So I would discuss that, see if it's possible, and then how we would move forward with that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Welcome, Javier.
Hey.
We are currently discussing the strategic plan. We're going page by page. So we're now on page number 5. So this is the SWOT analysis. Again, the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. I think we can discuss the opportunities to connect with sports tournaments and host sporting events. That's also kind of in connection with Javier in the Parks Department. We did have a meeting discussing tennis tournaments now that our tennis facilities are being upgraded. So hopefully we will be able to just really focus in on what facilities we have that are, available and see who we can get in here and work with the Parks Department as much as possible. So the construction of the new convention center can accommodate, conventions, meetings, conferences. So we really needed just to continue to push the convention center and its South Texas location and everything it has to offer. We actually did a walkthrough yesterday with our new and
You just
really
cut out.
see how it
Cassandra,
can be
can you
set up
say that
differently
again?
from.
You froze.
You froze. Can you say that
Oh,
again?
sorry. Yeah. We walked through the convention center and hotel, and just to show our new employees that how much it has to offer. So it could be stadium seating, it could be hotels, it could be weddings, it can be. They did a boxing match. There's a lot that can be done in 20,000 square foot ballroom, and especially the breakout rooms. So we really want to continue to promote it. And other opportunity would be to implement a traditional event that defines the city as a whole. So all the other cities really have, Brownsville has Charo Fest, McAllen has well, not the livestock shows down in McAllen, but McAllen has the Palm Fest. So a lot of the cities have a main event that people know and recognize immediately. And we did have that in the past. We did have Rio Fest, and that's something I kind of wanted to touch on later on in the meeting. But just the name itself carries a lot of weight. I know one of my personal goals since I started was to maybe bring that event back just because of the name and its history. And we do have a lot of events. We're able to promote and have the concerts and produce them ourselves, but our name isn't as popular as the original name of Rio Fest is. So I would like to see if we would, maybe start off small, maybe just a one-day event and see what we would need to do to make it be like a bigger and better event. But I do see that as an opportunity for our department to grow. I don't know if you guys agree with that statement.
Yes.
We already produce concerts, so now it's like, let's just add one of our strong names to one of our concerts and make it just bigger and better. And that's just something that I know will make a difference. And, now that I have you all support, maybe, moving forward, we can, like I said, I'll touch on it a little bit when I do my director's report, but it's something that I think is important for us. We do obviously have some threats, and we always need to just constantly be making sure Harlingen is put in a good light, and we need to just promote our attractions that we have. We have a lot of free things that and paid amenities here in Harlingen, and we just need to make sure people know about them. So if what we need to do is take new pictures, or we need to go live there, do something like that, we want to do it. And now that we have a full staff again, we'll be able to put all of our attractions out there again. Is there anything y'all want to input on the SWAT?
No.
Nope.
But definitely agreeing with the Rio Fest thing, right? Moving forward, the stakeholder input and strategic analysis. So this is something, we represent the community of Harlingen. We want you all to feel, heard, and we want to make sure that your interests are our interests as well. We align. So right now, what we have is, match visitors to our destination, research current visitor profiles, and expand that segment of the population. Of course, we know who comes to Harlingen, but we want to really make sure they're getting repeat customers, and we're reaching the audience that we need to. We want to consider an always-on marketing approach. There's not seasons, in Harlingen, we say there's 360 days of sun, right? So you can come here all the time. This is not necessarily come during the summer or just come during the fall. You can come here and we're ready to receive you, and you're ready to really show you what we have to offer. So is there anything you all would like to add or change to this?
Cassandra, isn't Harlingen's thing kind of the birding festival thing?
It is. So we do very much support the birding festival, and that is in the fall. But you can bird in Harlingen pretty much every day. And we do have literature and everything like that in our offices, that if somebody were to come in and say, it's not the birding festival, but I want to see birds. Like, where do I go and what birds can I see? They don't have somebody right now, but they usually have a representative in the office that can talk to them and tell them like where to go and have a pamphlet over like usually the birds that are usually there during this time of year and stuff like that. So would you say that we needed to just add birding festival?
Well, when you look at all those events that are listed for those other cities, I mean, for what we see, at least in the hotels, whenever the birding festival happens, everyone is full. Everyone.
Yes.
There's not a room that you can find in a normal year. So I think if we had something, it's that.
I definitely agree with that. I guess the reason why I didn't necessarily put it there is because the birding festival has its own committee and they office here as well. So we help them monetarily. So part of the CBB budget does go to the birding festival, but that budget is for them to have their own staff and do their marketing and do their sales of that. So we do a lot of marketing in birding magazines, and we always promote the birding festival, but it's not necessarily our only thing that we promote. That is why, excuse me.
I'd suggest too that we put it on the key events. I mean, it truly is the largest
I agree.
event in the city, and to leave it off this list is unwise. Even though I understand exactly what you're saying about who's responsible for it.
It's still under our umbrella, so I definitely agree, and I think that we will add it to the list. And so, it's a good thing that we're all kind of like talking through it and seeing what really is, what you as a hotel, see as important. It's added to the list.
Cassandra, I think that downtown also is I don't want to say iconic, but it's kind of an attraction for the city.
Yes.
And again, I think that they have their own board and they have their own funding.
But we do promote.
Yeah, and so I think the downtown is pretty neat for our area. It's kind of different than other cities.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So definitely, we do, like I said, they have their own board and everything. I agree. And so we'll put the downtown, especially like the market days and just like downtown itself is as a key attraction in Harlingen. So downtown. All right. I agree 100%. And I do see us in the future, how I had said about like the little store and things about Harlingen. I have already reached out to the downtown manager and she agrees with me on that. So they get a lot of walk-ins there. They get a lot of foot traffic, or they did, I guess, in the past. So that would be a good also location for us to put our promotional items, I think, and have just more, presence and more, down there at the downtown office as well, just because it is a key attraction and it gets a lot of walk-ins. Is there any other, sort of attractions that y'all think that we should really make sure we're focusing on?
I know it's not Harlingen, but I can tell you that it's not out of reach, but this whole SpaceX thing is really changing things for us in the hotels, even though it's not that far, or it's not, that close, but it's not that far, but it's drastically changing our type of business and how long they're staying, what they're paying, all of that.
Yep.
So, I don't know, maybe at one point somewhere down the road, how that might.
Yeah, so we have ULA, United Launch Alliance, here in Harlingen, and they do build parts of the rockets that go into space. So that is something that we should be kind of getting that market. I agree. People, I don't know if they do tours of their, facilities or anything like that. But I do think that I agree, and we should be promoting the SpaceX and the ULA more, just because it has blown up so much in Brownsville, and we are getting a lot of people actually living in Harlingen from space that work with SpaceX. They live in Harlingen, a lot of them.
I'll throw the obvious out there. We have a lot of veterans that come through Marine Military Academy from all over the valley. regularly. Not only do we have a large group of veterans that come through here, we also, not to mention the 230 something cadets we have on deck. You multiply that times 2 parents coming to visit for about 15 events a year. That's we fill up a lot of hotels as well here with all of our events. This coming year we plan on getting back to a normal schedule, and we're even adding more events to our calendar than we've had in the past. We've got about 2 or 3 more events, and all these hotel stays are 3-4 night stays easily. They usually start the events on like a Wednesday, but that being said, between the museum, the monument, and the academy, we do draw a lot of visitors to this area. Just before a parent signs the contract, they usually come down and visit at least once, and then they're here on registration day, and then they're here for pickup and all the events in between. So the veteran group, the alumni group that we have here, and that's one of the things, I'll be completely honest with you, Cassandra, a lot of times when the alumni come down, they'll have an event here and they all go to the island.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's not much for us to plan here in the city. And that's one thing I'm really looking forward to, having the events like, oh yeah, come out, see the boys, this and that. And then when they can take them on Liberty, we have this concert going on tonight, here in Harlingen. You can stay here in Harlingen. I'm really hoping we can get to that point, because right now they pick the boys up and they go to the island for the weekend.
Right.
Yes. No, I do understand. This is another one where we do allow a budget from our department does go to the MMA, to the Iwo Jima Monument, to the museum. But we don't ever, I guess in a lot of my marketing stuff, we do use the monument. We use the image of the monument a lot. But I have never done any sort of marketing to veterans or to that. And I think this is a new segment of the population that we would be very much willing to start marketing to.
Yeah,
especially.
I'd suggest you add this to your key markets list. MMA visitors and veterans, however you want to phrase it, but just inclusive of both groups, because they are different.
Yes.
but
they're both relatively large.
I agree. And I think this is why it's so important to have everybody, us all, like I said, talking out, discussing, because it's not something I would have thought of, but of course you, Kristen, can tell us about it. So I appreciate that. So that I know yesterday I took Edgar, our new employee, I think you can see him on the screen, around Harlingen, and I told him that I literally said, all these kids' parents come and they stay here, so we need to remember them. We really do, just to see the size of the monument, because you're like, oh, okay. Then you drive by, you're like, oh, okay, it's huge. So it's huge, and it really is important, and we really need to focus on that segment of the population as well. Is there another? So we have SpaceX and, rocket stuff. We have the MMA veteran group and the downtown as more of a destination, and of course the birding festival. So we definitely need to just be focused on those and add those as key attractions, and just keep focusing and marketing on those elements. Is there something else that y'all can think of? And we can always, this is like a working document. At any point, if you feel like we didn't touch on this, or you got an idea, or you notice something that you saw out in the community, you could bring it back to the board, and we'd be more than happy to discuss and add it. Just keep moving forward. Again, working document. If there's something that's not working for us, we change it, delete it, add to it. It's all up to the board.
Cassandra, are there any plans for who actually? I'm sorry. Let me ask a question. Who actually puts together the car shows, the classic cars that happen on Jackson Street?
So the car shows, they have their own president and everything like that. They bring it to the Jackson Street board, and they say, when we would like to have an event in April, can we do it? And then they vote, and they would say yes or no. They usually, I think they like doing it in April. We have the car show as a component of our Winter Texan event every year, and it's a big attraction. I would tell we've had 100 entrants into the competition, and the people that just go and see it, it is a big attraction to it. I do know that they're the ones who approach and say, can we do on this day? We never really approached them to say, here's our space, come and use it, except for at the Winter Texan event.
I would suggest that we just use downtown events as sort of an overarching key events item rather than trying to list each of the downtown events individually.
Yeah, they do. I know the Friday night art. They do the market days, and then they have like during Christmas, like the downtown Christmas stroll, and then they have an art show in April, and they also have like the downtown coffees, which I'm not sure if any of y'all have participated in, but we have. We always go and we always tell them, like what's going on in the city. So they also have some events, and like you're saying, Rich, it will just be like the downtown umbrella.
Yeah,
The downtown column.
I think that would just indicate that we are, coordinating and or supporting all of these various events downtown.
Yeah, especially because it has to go to like their board, and they have to like approve it, and they have to do all that. So if they approve it and they've done it, then okay, we're gonna go for it.
And as far as like a food festival or anything like that, has that ever been like a draw, or maybe considered for a draw for the city, other than barbecue? Because barbecue is obviously very popular.
I did get approached by a gentleman that would like to put a food and wine festival here in Harlingen. He would get it together, kind of get all the sponsorships and all that. And then we would have to bring it, of course, to City Hall. We have to bring it to the city managers, and then we might, hopefully they would approve and get all that done. But I have been approached by people wanting to do that sort of event here in Harlingen, which I think would be great. Something different for us, something that does attract visitors, kind of like the brew at the zoo. It would be familiar to that. It would be like almost like that, but not beer. But it would just be wine. And I think a good location would be like Jackson Street, and then of course like the Lozano Plaza area would be good. So there are people who want to do events like that here. They just have to get the right permits and the right license. Like the commissioner or the city managers have to.
But in essence, isn't that kind of what Rio Fest used to be? We had concerts, we had food, we had booths, we had. That's what it was. It was just a multi-day event.
Yes. So I do know the city owns the name Rio Fest again. They bought it from the nonprofit that owned it, right, Javier?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just like it's very expensive, and for actual people working it, our department is 3, but we do use like the parks department helps us a lot during our events, and like the public buildings part, so it does take a lot of city resources to have a multi-day event. That we have so many events. We normally have one event a month, and that is, it's parks guys, it's public buildings guys, it's set up the setups and everything like that, and tear downs and trash and make sure the bathrooms are clean. We do all those things in addition to get the band, pay the bands, get all the booths in order. So we've really only been able to do a one-day event once a month. So we would definitely have to see our schedule of events and really pare it down to, if we're going to do a big event, one big event for 2 days, is it more worth it for us instead of doing a little bit? And that's really up to the board. That's really for us to discuss and see, is that something we would like to do, is really change up like our calendar and what events we're having to promote a larger one big 2-day festival.
I also feel quite strongly, actually, that we need to take a look at the hoops an organizer needs to jump through in order to have an event in Harlingen, and see if we can't streamline it and make it easier. That's often been a criticism of the city, not necessarily with respect to events, but businesses in general, trying to get licensed and permitted here. And I think it would be in our best interest to see if, at least take a look at the process a potential person would need to go through to organize an event, and see what does that gauntlet look like? And can it be streamlined and simplified to encourage more events, not fewer?
Mm-hmm. I do know that we try to do like a hot tax application for people that wanted to do an event that might warrant a hot tax grant.
Right.
So that's what they do in other cities, but nobody ever really approached us and nobody really ever used it. So, not that we have $8 million to give out to the community, but if a certain event was coming to town and they could prove hotel stays and they could prove how, the impact on the community, that we would help them by doing like marketing for them, like either signage, printing, promoting their event on our websites and stuff like that.
Right.
So they would just like fill out some information for us, and that way we had, proof of why we should help this event succeed. So we did have we do help like the Jalapeno 100 and the Harlingen Marathon, which are not our events, but hot tax dollars are used for those. And usually what they do is they would have to, I don't know, Javier, correct me if I'm wrong, is I guess talk to an assistant city manager, the city manager, to see if he approves the event itself. And then, how much the city resources would be allotted to that, right, Javier? Or
Yeah, that's true. And so now the marathon is a city event. So June, or the organizer has already turned it over to the city. Of course, unfortunately, with the pandemic, we didn't have it last year. So we're looking at, and it won't happen this year either, but I think we're looking at maybe next year is hosting the marathon.
Let me ask you a question, Cassandra. On that note, so if MMA were to host a event open to the city, like, we have our Back 40 obstacle course. So we've been kind of throwing around the idea of doing a fundraiser, 5K, rucksack run type of thing. Even though it's on our property, if it's open to the city, is that something the city would help out with, or that the visitors? Because I mean, this is an incident or a situation where not only would local people be invited, but also we would have parents coming in from out of town and all of that stuff too.
So again, that would go back to you proving that people were staying in a hotel. Well, so sometimes people will come and say, "Oh, I'm having a family reunion," and I'll be like, "Okay, well, are they going to stay in a hotel?" No, they're all staying with me. So there's no, there's no way I could prove like hotel motel tax dollars are being garnered through that event. But because people are coming from out of town, they will be staying at a hotel. Then we could definitely do from my end, we could provide maybe marketing, or like I said, printing, or if you need badges with like lanyards, like things like that, I could provide that for you.
Well, and just to be clear, in my comment, I'm not as concerned about whether we're helping people financially. I'm concerned about how difficult it is for someone to have an event here. And it may not be difficult at all. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've heard the same complaint, Mr. Warren, as far as.
And honestly, having an assistant city manager randomly approve or not approve things is not a recipe for success. There needs to be some objective criteria that allows it to happen and would allow anyone to determine whether they could be approved or not approved. I just think we need to reduce the friction to having events in Harlingen.
I do think, like I said, Javier, correct me if I'm wrong, it just goes to city management, and then they say yes or no, right, Javier? Or
yeah, and it's similar to us, here at the park. So we have a park permit. People fill it out. We of course we ask them for their insurance, the whatever the city requires, and then we take that to the city manager. He'll sign off on it. If he
right. So the question would be then, how does that compare to what other cities require? Right? Because we want to make it efficient and easy. And it may be fine, but I don't think it is, because we hear a lot of complaints about it anecdotally.
Yeah. All right. So
and that
that's something.
That may just because people want to complain about it, but I think it's worth looking at.
And I agree. It is something that I can bring up to the city manager, assistant city manager, when I have a meeting with them. Just kind of get clarification on what people have to do, and is there a way of changing that?
Not change for change's sake, change to improve it.
Yes, change to improve. And I know that the city manager is very much pro events. He's very much pro, us having people come to Harlingen.
But
But it is something that I'll bring.
Again, it should not be dependent upon a single person's point of view. That's my point.
Okay.
Right? It needs
Yes.
to be a process, and it needs to be objective.
I agree, and that's something that I will bring up to them, see how we could change that to be a process and something that maybe they apply and they check certain boxes and okay, yes or no.
I think the best place to start would be to review the current process in detail, and then we can recommend potentially changes the city might want to implement, and they can then choose to do that or not.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, Rex. Just at least check the other cities, see what they're doing.
Yeah,
I mean, and I've heard, not necessarily in the marketing or the promotional part, the CVB part, but I've heard where say, you know what, we come to Harlingen because it's a lot easier, especially for business development. And so, I mean, I know that there's a balance, right? And so, but I think if we check with other cities, see what they're doing, I think it'd be a good idea.
yeah, and if Javier, if that ends up being the case, then that's something we need to include in our marketing messaging.
Yeah,
we're easy to do business with, or easier than our, other cities. That's a key marketing point for us.
it sure is.
I agree. You're right. I will definitely review the process and see what we can do. I do get a lot of people that call me and say, I want to have this event and I want to have that event. And I personally don't have any power to say, yes, you can go ahead and do it. So I just direct them to the city management. And I would like to see, I wouldn't want to deter anybody from having an event. So I try to help them as much as possible.
Yeah, well, and in fairness, there are certain things that have to happen. I just want to make sure that our process, not our process, but the city of Harlingen's process has as little friction as possible.
Yes, sir.
And yet, meets all the necessary whatever.
Yes, sir.
And it might. We just need to find out for sure.
Is there any kind of data that lives anywhere that shows how many events are turned away each year?
That's a great question.
For whatever reason.
To my knowledge, there is not some sort of list.
No problem.
Yeah. Like you said, we need to really review what happens after they go talk at administration, or if they ever even get to that stage, or they think that it won't happen if they go talk to them. Sometimes people just get deterred, oh, you need to talk to the manager. Okay, well, I don't want to talk to the manager, so they don't do
right.
it. But the manager would very much say yes. The manager might not turn you away, but just thinking that they have to speak to higher up, they get deterred from that. But again, like I said, we'll review the process from beginning to any data they might have, to hopefully some improvements, or just marketing on, hey, it is easy.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Should we continue on?
Yes.
All right. So building the tourism pipeline. This really is for us to, I really need to keep working with Valley International Airport. They literally bring us the client, right, to our doorstep. So we really need to promote in their new markets and emerging markets. So right now we just got our, Chicago flights, and I do know that South Padre Island focuses a lot on that. So they're markets that we have direct flights from. We need to make sure we're doing at least some digital marketing in Chicago, and for, if some people are searching, direct flights, things like that, Frontier, New, we come up. So we really need to keep working closely with the VIA to make sure we are marketing in our direct pipeline. So, the Sun Country, the Frontier flights, all of those that just bring the tourists directly to our doorstep. Like I said, there's really no season except for, there's winter Texan season and there's birding season, but we invite them year round. So we really want to execute a lot of our marketing we don't want to like exclude a certain part of the year that we're not marketing because oh well no one's coming anyway, but maybe people are planning. So our marketing dollars, of course there's some peaks, and when we want to plan for like the Winter Texans are coming in January, but they start planning maybe in the summer, right? So in the summer we need to start getting to know, telling the Winter Texans like remember to come, starting remember Harlingen, just kind of keep us on top of mind for our segments. I think I kind of touched on this, was to helping our community spread the tourism story. We want to make sure everybody in Harlingen, the community itself, knows everything we have to offer, from the Iwo Jima Monument to the downtown, events that go on, to even the museums that are free, and the Tony Butler Golf Course that we have. These are all attractions that we have to offer, and a lot of them are priced very, very reasonably. And so if we can really get the Harlingen community members to be our ambassadors and to really tell the story, I think it's going to help us a lot. I kind of wanted to implement like a Harlingen 101, like little videos or little course, just to show exactly what we have to offer to people that might have not seen it. Again, like I said, like people don't understand how big the Iwo Jima Monument is. It's like, well, it's massive and it's very important, and just come by. It literally right by the airport. It's not 30 minutes away. It's right around the corner. And if we can just bring more attraction to that, it's something that I really wanted to start doing. Again,
Cassandra,
yes.
I'm sorry, I had a quick question.
Yeah, of course.
I know that in the last meeting, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that there was a mention that we wanted to come up with some type of plan to have Harlingen visible, I guess, throughout the whole year. And obviously that's the purpose of this, of the conversation that we're having. Has there been any type of thought of maybe contacting, like, for example, the person there at the MMA or any of the other museums or something, to set up some type of like webcam or something that can be accessed 24/7, via YouTube or any other platform like that, maybe down Jackson Street, kind of highlighting the key areas that we're trying to promote, but on a more consistent basis. Of course, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of logistics behind it, right? But you just, kind of talking to some of the buildings around town that maybe they can set something up like that. I know there's a lot of cities that are actually currently doing things like that. Like, for example, in Florida, Clearwater, Beach, they're doing those type of things in certain areas to kind of have those attractions in people's access at all times. So I don't know if that's something that can be done or promoted.
I do. I think that's a great idea. I do get what you're saying. Like the zoo, I think does like a 24/7 like live stream. In the businesses that would want to do it, I think they would have to do it themselves. We definitely don't have the funds to be able to run like a live stream like that. I'm not really sure what all it entails. I would have to maybe search a little bit more about that. But I think that might be up to the business itself, unless I don't know how I don't know if I would like have to get cameras for every single, or for maybe, let's say we decide to we start off with one camera or one live stream, and move forward from there. That is something that I think I would have to research a little bit more on, and just see like actual like budget and allowed and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
There might be some more rules that they have, or they might, if those like businesses are actually open to doing it.
Yeah, because I know that some cities that I've seen, they've actually rolled in their I guess their businesses to actually show like, okay, this is like Jackson Street as an example, right? But mainly like the museums, like this is the Iwo Jima Museum, things like that. But I've seen some cities that it can start off with just a basic camera and maybe go to earthcam.com or something that is free. YouTube. Yeah. YouTube, also you may be able to establish a channel like that. That's a place where they can comment as well. those are also free. And again, it's just, getting a basic camera and mainly dealing with the museums first, and then maybe just, later on, maybe get on a bigger, grand scale, excuse me, and maybe even ask for participation, without the CVB having to fund anything like that. Maybe since a lot of people already have internet access anyways at their businesses, it would just entail just, add a camera, and just kind of set it up here.
Yeah, I think that would be something for us to meet with the businesses and maybe meet with Jackson Street. And the museum does have its own, again, department that, maybe just they don't have that idea. Maybe it's just like, maybe just a little implement that little seed for them and see how we could work with them and try to help them and see that, come to life. Because I do know that cities do it. I think that we would have to do it in something that makes sense, like economically, and actually if somebody actually wants to see it, if we maybe invest money into these cameras and, softwares, and I'm not sure what other else it entails, but, if we don't get any traction to it, is it worth it for us? Do people want to see Jackson Street on a normal Monday morning? Or do people only want to see Jackson Street during market days? So then that would just be kind of like the kinks that we'd have to work out. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Oh yes, of course.
But I think, yes, sir.
I was going to ask you, do you know what the restrictions are? I know that I've heard that we have a channel, and so I know we're partnering with the school, but I don't think it's live yet. I don't think we posted anything, but I understand that we have a channel that we're supposed to be placing. I'm not sure if it's our meetings or if it's what it is, but I know Irma is like in charge of that.
Yeah, I actually I don't know anything about that, but I could reach out to Irma and see what's going on. I actually just got an email from the IT department that's running the meeting that they need to start live streaming the city commission at 11. So I don't know if we need to like stop ours and then restart on another link. Okay, I do need to stop it. We have not finished. Let me see if I can, let me just reply to him really quick. We might have to, I guess, maybe take a break and then come back if that is okay. Just because they run the meetings for us at City Hall and they can only do one at a time. We're barely on number 4. So we have the bylaw discussion and the director's report as well, finishing up. I pretty much have discussed what I want to discuss in the director's report in the social media. I mean, in that, but are you all okay with, I guess, stopping and then coming back later this afternoon? Is that something that we could be doing?
I can come back after lunch. I've got a lunch meeting at 12.
Okay, I think I can at 1.
Yeah.
Is that okay with everybody?
That's fine with me.
Raise your hand if you agree. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Yeah. So I will send an invite for 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And I'm sorry about that. We just.
It was a good discussion.
I know. I think we just kind of started talking. Yeah. Normally these like strategic plan meetings would happen like in person, and it takes some time just because there's so much information and there's so much that we want to make sure we cover in our plan, that this is like a very in-depth thing that we can always refer back to when people say like, why aren't you doing this? Well, our board voted and discussed in depth. These are our key segment markets and exactly what we need to be marketing. So I think it's great and I appreciate all the input, and I think that you guys have done your homework and I'm very happy and I appreciate it a lot. But I will see you guys back here at 1.
Okay.
And another invite.
Okay.
Thank you. So I guess